Breath of the Wild introduced so many colorful, interesting characters to the world of Zelda. Link encounters countless people on his journey to defeat the Calamity and has lost so many others, and the Rito bard Kass is prominent among them. As a fellow traveler, you meet Kass in numerous places across the Kingdom of Hyrule and come to know him very well. So let's take a closer look at our favorite roaming minstrel in this Kass Breath of the Wild guide. Kass is a member of the Rito, a race of bird people first introduced in the Wind Waker. Kass is left home to find the ancient songs detailing the adventures of an ancient hero. While exploring Hyrule, you will know if Kass is nearby as you can hear him playing music. You can also interact with Kass's family if you visit Rito Village. He has a wife, Amali, and 5 daughters, Knots, Kots, Genli, Kree, and Keel. Exploring a new area of Hyrule only to hear the concertina playing would excite me without fail. I was ready to find out what quest he had up his sleeve and idle for a few minutes to listen to his song. Kass plays different music depending on where you find him too. You will most commonly hear him playing Kass's theme, as it's called on the soundtrack. You will also see Kass at 4 stables: Foothill, Wetland, Rito, and Gerudo Canyon. There, he plays a version of Epona's song first seen in Ocarina of Time. Finally, if you meet him in Rito Village, he plays a song harmonizing with that location's theme music. On top of this, upon request, Kass will play a special song when you encounter him at the stables. It's a ballad recounting the adventures of Link's previous incarnation, how he and the princess fought off Calamity Ganon with the help of the Guardians and the Divine Beasts. However, once Kass is returned to Rito Village, he can no longer play the song for you. But Kass is more than just a fancy jukebox. His storyline revolves around you helping to finish his journey and return to his family. To do this, you have to complete all of his quests. Kass gives you more quests than any other character in the game, aside from maybe Misko's DLC quests. He has 7 shrine quests, 1 side quest, and 2 additional quests from his family: the Serpent's Jaws, the 2 Rings, the Crowned Beast, Sign of the Shadow, Song of the Storms, Master of the Wind, the Hero's Cache, Under a Blood Moon, Find Keel, Recital at Warbler's Nest, and the Champion's Ballad EX. So, let's take a closer look at these quests and the trip around Hyrule they take you on. There are 8 of these quests spread across Hyrule, and finding them all can be a pain. If you're struggling to find them, you can read Kass's journal at Wash's Bluff, the location for the quest Under a Blood Moon. In it, he lists each place you can find him, so you can check which ones you're missing in-game. He will tell you that he knows a song about this place and offers to play it. Each song is a riddle that you must solve to complete the quest. Once you have finished each quest, you can talk to Kass again, and he will comment on the solution to the riddle, sometimes praising Link for figuring it out. However, if you want to see these responses, you must walk back to him before entering the shrine, and you can't use the Sheikah Slate to teleport either. Once you do either of these things, Kass despawns from that area. The Serpent's Jaws. Where the forest dragon splays its jaws, a shrine sleeps with noble cause. Location: Pagos Woods, Lake Region. Reward: Thunder Spear. Kass can be found on the road through the Pagos Woods leading into the Faron region. The solution to this song isn't immediately apparent if you haven't yet activated the Lake Tower. The forest dragon in the song refers to the Dracozu River, which is shaped like a dragon with an open mouth on your map. The area between the jaws is overrun by monsters, most of which are equipped with shock arrows. You'll have no problem if you have the Thunder Helm or rubber armor, but if not, you can sneak around them. This brings you to the Spring of Courage. Talk to the statue of Furore, indicated by the symbol at her feet, and she will tell you to offer her Ferocious Scale. To obtain this, you need to shoot an arrow at the dragon Feroce and pick up the scale that falls off. Feroce can be found all over southern Hyrule, but it's easiest to encounter as it spawns over the top of Floria Falls at 5 AM. From the lakeside stable, you can wait by the fire until morning and head straight to Floria Bridge to collect your scale. Return to the spring and drop the scale into the water. It'll light up, and Furore will open the way to the Shea Katha Shrine. The 2 Rings. When a single arrow threads 2 rings, the shrine will rise like birds on wings. Location: West Hyrule Plains, Ridgeland region. Reward: Great Thunderblade. Kass is playing on top of a rock just past the Jeddo Bridge at the foot of Satori Mountain. He is surrounded by 12 stone rings, and once he's finished his song, he wonders if the rings in the lyrics refer to the stones. It does, of course, and you need to shoot an arrow through 2 of them to unlock the shrine. There are multiple solutions to this puzzle, but it wasn't until I wrote this guide that I found more than one. Now I have 2, and this new one is demonstrated here, as it's easier to do correctly. There's no need to use a Phrenic or Golden Bow for this, it only makes the process harder if you do. However, using the ancient bow, or if you have access to it, the twilight bow will help since they both fire arrows without an arc. The Crowned Beast. A beast that wears a crown of bone, prancing through the lush green. Mount the beast upon its throne, for only then the shrine is seen. Location: Rabia Plains, Hateno region. Reward: Thunderblade. You can find Kass out on the Rabia Plains behind Kakariko Village. If you continue past the Great Fairy Fountain and take a left at the fork, you'll find it. This quest is finicky. To complete it, you must mount a stag, the deer with antlers, and ride it on top of the pedestal next to where Kass is standing. To mount the stag, you approach it like a wild horse. The process is a little trickier because deer are easily startled, so even with the tall grass around, you'll need high stealth. Not only this, but if you're unlucky, it may require a lot of stamina to tame a stag. You have two options. 1. Invest your spirit orbs into stamina vessels and use a stealth item, or 2. Wear the Sheikah armor and use food to increase your max stamina. Luckily, you're outside Kakariko Village, where the armor is sold. Also, there are blue nightshades and Endura carrots around the Great Fairy Fountain. If you're in a position where you have to choose one over the other, I would prioritize stealth and hope you don't run out of stamina. I have tamed a stag with only the base stamina before, but sneaking up on it can be a nightmare without help. Sign of the Shadow. As light shines from the northwest skies, from the tower's shadow an arrow flies. Pierce heaven's light to reveal the prize. Location: Gerudo Tower, Gerudo Highlands. Reward: Frostblade. You'll find Kass at the top of the Gerudo Tower. Confusingly, Gerudo Tower is in the Gerudo Highlands and doesn't unlock the map of Gerudo Town, but instead the snowy mountains surrounding it. Gerudo Tower can be found just east of the Yiga clan hideout. This one's simple. The screen pans over an ancient pedestal as Kass plays the song. You wait until the tower's shadow overlaps that pedestal and then shoot an arrow into the sun. You can also do this at night if you'd rather. You will know it's the right time as the pedestal will glow orange. This happens from 3 to 4 during the day and 1 to 2 during the night. Interestingly, this quest is very reminiscent of how you would obtain the fire arrows in Ocarina of Time, in which you have to fire an arrow at the sun in Lake Hylia. I thought it was a shame the shrine didn't have a bundle of fire arrows in it as a reward. It would have been cute. Song of Storms. When a lost hero calls down lightning from the sky, the monk responds from a giant mound on high. Location: Lake Kalora, Faron region. Reward: Rubber Greaves. This is one of those quests where the weather is permanently a lightning storm until you complete it. Kass is standing under a tree by Kalora Lake on the east side of Floria Falls. To the south of the lake is a large boulder. As suggested by Kass's song, you need to get lightning to strike the boulder to reveal the shrine underneath. You will need metal gear to act as a lightning rod. The very top of the mound is so flat that whatever you use won't roll into the waterfalls. You will likely lose whatever gear you use to attract the lightning, so make sure it isn't something too valuable. Another option, if you have the Thunder Helm, is to act as the lightning rod yourself. You cannot use the rubber armor as an alternative for this quest because the reward from the shrine is the Rubber Greaves. If you don't have the Thunder Helm, make sure you don't go too far from the mound. Dropped items will despawn if you move too far away from them, and I lost a silver longsword this way. Attracting lightning to the boulder will cause it to break apart. Like the previous quest, this quest also references Ocarina of Time. The quest's name, Song of Storms, comes from one of the songs you can learn on the ocarina. Master of the Wind. He breaks the rocks that serve to bind, above the tempestuous bay. On wings of cloth and wood entwined, he lands on the altar to open the way. Location: Horon Lagoon, Lanayru region. Reward: Great Flameblade. I really like this quest. Kass is at Horon Lagoon, which is located behind Zora's domain. The area is full of strong drafts, and you must ride the wind over to the pedestal with your paraglider. However, there are 4 clusters of boulders around the lagoon blocking airflow. Use your bombs to break them and then fly from the large stone arch in the middle of the lagoon onto the pedestal. You can't cheat this, the pedestal will only activate once all the boulders have been removed. There's a cutscene and everything. There's only one tricky part to this quest. The boulder is on the underside of the arch. You'll need to use an octobloom to float a bomb over it, and it can be hard to get the position right. Luckily, there are a lot of octorocks in this area, so you'll have lots of attempts. I suggest standing as close to the platform's edge as possible when you send the balloon off. It may look like the bomb is going off course, but trust the wind to fix it. Finally, after the pedestal is lit up, you need to paraglide onto it. It doesn't matter where from, but it's easiest to jump off the large rock arch. Make sure you don't drop onto the pedestal once you get there. We want the paraglider to be equipped when you land, or it won't work. The hero's cache. An ancient hero spoke these words. One day I'll return to fight evil. My cache is at 17 of 24. This rock will point towards its retrieval. Location, Kitano Bay, Hateno region. Reward, gold rupee, or 300 rupees. This is the quest most people miss. If you're reading Kass's journal, you'll know where to look, but you could visit Kitano Bay many times and miss it. Unless you're the sort of person who sees a cluster of rocks in the ocean and immediately makes their way out there, you won't find Kass. Although, to be fair, that isn't the wrong mindset to have while playing Breath of the Wild. Kass is standing on top of the tallest rock of this cluster. This is another shadow-based puzzle. When it's 5 PM, 17 on a 24-hour clock, the rock spire's shadow will point you to the treasure. However, you don't need to wait until 5 PM. You can look in the water with magnesis and you'll find it. It's lodged behind a rock, so you can't detect it from up on the spire, and contains a gold rupee. Amusingly, Kass is disappointed with his treasure if you talk to him about it afterward, but says you should keep it. Under a blood moon. When the moon bleeds and fiends are reborn, the monks will invite you as they have sworn. But first you must stand on the pedestal bare, with nothing between you and the night air. Location, Wash's Bluff, Ridgeland region. Reward, Frostblade. Kass is on top of one of those mushroom trees out behind Satori Mountain, south of Topantha Bridge Stable, and it may look like you need Rivali's Gale to get up there, and it does help, but you can climb these things easily. You may need a stamina item if you only have the base stamina. This is where you find Kass's journal, which is why it's the final entry. The solution is obvious, but surprisingly annoying to pull off. You must stand naked on the pedestal beneath Kass during a blood moon. Simple in premise, but timing the blood moon can be tricky. If you have the DLC, you can place the travel medallion next to the pedestal and leave to do something else. The next time a blood moon appears, you can teleport and take advantage of it. If you don't have the DLC, the Moglatan shrine is close enough that it's a straight glide down to the pedestal. But if you're itching to get it done now, you'll need to trigger a blood moon yourself. Blood moons only occur after you've killed a lot of monsters and on a night when there's a full moon. So go out and kill a lot of stuff, a once around Hyrule Castle is usually enough for me, then return to Wash's Bluff during a blood moon. You can check to see if there's a full moon that night by asking Hino at Dueling Peak Stable. Once you've triggered the blood moon, unequip your armor and stand on the pedestal. It'll change from orange to blue and the shrine will appear. The quest for Salmon Meunière. Unfortunately, completing Kass's quests aren't enough to bring him home. First, you must complete a quest for his youngest daughter Kiel and his wife Amalie, and this can only be done after freeing Valmeadow. On the platform outside Achvaquot Shrine, Amalie is calling for someone. Ask, and she'll say that her daughter, Kiel, has gone missing. She thinks that Kiel has gone to Warbler's Nest alone, and is worried that something has happened to her. Warbler's Nest is a straight shot from that platform, and there you find Kiel. She's upset that her sisters haven't turned up for singing practice, and asks you to help find them. If you return to Amalie and tell her Kiel is alright, she'll reward you with a purple rupee for your trouble. Now on to finding Kiel's sisters. Amalie will tell you that Genli's in the kitchen. Genli is hungry and won't go to practice until she says some Salmon Meunière. She's drafted her other sisters into helping, and when you find each of them, they give you an ingredient for the Meunière. Here's a list of where you can find the remaining sisters. Kree is at the Slippery Falcon buying ingredients for the Meunière. Gives you goat butter. Kree will also tell you where to find Knots and Cots. Knots is singing on a perch near Valmeadow, at the very top of the village. She finished finding ingredients early and was killing time before heading over. She gives you Tabantha wheat. Cots is fishing in the ponds by the entrance to Rito Village. She completely forgot about practice and hurries over. Gives you hearty salmon. Once you've talked to all the sisters and gathered the ingredients, you'll need to cook up the long-awaited Meunière. You might want to save before cooking in case you make a mistake and waste your ingredients. Throw the salmon, wheat, and butter into the pot, and give the hearty salmon Meunière to Genli. Despite not wanting to go due to stage fright, she finally makes her way to Warbler's Nest. Return to Kiel, and the girls will be practicing. Talk to her, and she'll give you a Korok leaf as thanks. This might seem like a dreadful reward, but you need it for the next part of the quest. Warbler's Nest has 5 stones in a circle, each with a hole in the center. If you use the Korok leaf on them, they make a sound corresponding to the note sung by each of the sisters. Listen to their song, then play it back, using the fingers on top of the stones to figure out which stone plays which note. The order is 5, 4, 3, 1, 2. Play it correctly, and the shrine will appear. Unfortunately, even after everything you've done, it's not a blessing. The girls will express their shock and fly home to tell their mother what happened, and at long last you have done everything to prompt Kass to return home. Once you've finished all of Kass's quests, you can find him playing his concertina on landing next to Aquaquote's shrine. During the day, he will play alongside his daughters, but you can talk to him at night. He finally explains everything about his music teacher, the court poet to the Hyrulean royal family, and a member of the Sheikah tribe. His teacher accompanied Princess Zelda on her expeditions and fell for her despite knowing it was doomed. However, she only had eyes for her appointed knight, Link. Kass will then play you the final song his teacher taught him about his faith that the hero would return to defeat the calamity. It tells you the same story you learned through reclaiming Link's memories, how he gave his life to protect Zelda and Hateno, his sacrifice awakening her powers, and Link being taken to the Shrine of Resurrection. This song is an extended version of Kass's theme, which progresses into a rendition of the classic Legend of Zelda theme song. Once finished, Kass tells you that his teacher traveled far to learn the songs about the ancient hero, so he could play them for Zelda's knight upon his return. However, he died before that could happen. Now, Kass asks you to accept these songs, finally fulfilling his promise to his teacher. This makes Kass one of the very few characters born after the calamity that knows and believes Link's true identity. The final change is that Kass's journal in Wash's Bluff will update to reflect that he's laid his teacher's spirit to rest, and with that, Kass's role in the main game is complete. However, it's not the last time you'll see him if you get your hands on the DLC. Breath of the Wild's second DLC revolves around Kass's quest to finish his teacher's old songs about the champions of Hyrule. You meet him at every stage of the questline, from your first trial on the Great Plateau to the end of the final boss fight. Once you finish the trial on the Great Plateau, you must find 4 stone monuments around Hyrule so you can follow in the footsteps of the champions. At each one, Kass will play the song he found in his teacher's notes about the respective champion. Like his main story quests, each song has 3 riddles that unlock a new shrine when solved. Once you've completed all 3 and won a rematch against the Blight Ganon, you'll find Kass when you return. As part of his search, he's asked the locals for stories about the champions and has composed new songs to honor their memories. Kass says that his teacher told him good music should transport the listener to the time of the history it tells of, and fittingly, each song Kass plays unlocks a new memory of each champion. At the end of the questline, once you've defeated Monk Maz Koshia, you meet with Kass a final time. He has finished his teacher's song, and plays it for you, triggering one last memory. Kass then tells you that he found an image of the princess and the champions from 100 years ago among his teacher's notes, and thinks that you should keep it. You can then hang this image up in Link's house in Hateno. He stands out in the sea of NPCs, and not just for his bright plumage. It may take a lot to get there, but even if you aren't trying to complete every shrine, I hope you'll give Kass's quests a try.